part, I forget, the next Zoom will be on a Monday, August 18th. So just mark your calendars, but we will get all the reminders out there as quickly as we can to remind everybody. So Mindy, I'm recording. It is on your hands if you want to share your screen.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very Thank you everyone for being here. I love our introductions because I can't tell you how many people I'm like, oh, I have that in common. Oh, I didn't know that about that person. So I love what everybody shares. It makes my heart happy to be part of this group. So thank you everyone. And thank you for being here. So my goal today with this is to just give you a little tiny taste of the world of AI and how you can be using it for your business. And we're going to go through, I'm actually going to go through an exchange with ChatGPT, which is the AI that I generally use. There's a bunch of different choices out there. If anybody, and I'll put this out there, if anybody wants to sit down after this and talk through how they could use it, work through some practice prompts and kind of get going, I'm more than happy to meet you for coffee and do that. I started life out as an educator. So for those of you who I don't know, I'm Mindy Hanson. I own Wild Iris Marketing. We specialize in working with small and medium businesses and nonprofit organizations to find the best way for you to allocate your marketing dollars. I know that all of you have limited budget. Nobody has an unlimited amount of money to spend. And it's really important to allocate your marketing budget to places that make the most sense, are the most cost effective, and are the most likely to help you find clients and prospects. So that's kind of who I am. I developed my first website in 1995, so I'm not new to this business. I've been around a long time. In those days, we were hand coding all the websites. So I absolutely love what I do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do it. So with all that said, I'm going to share my screen. And just so you know, I'm more than happy to make the slides available to anybody after this. And I also have a worksheet that I've put together when I taught a similar class for another group that actually walks you through doing all of this on your own. So if anybody wants that, I'm more than happy to send both of those out. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what AI is first and how you can or should and shouldn't use it. And then we'll go through some prompts so you can actually see it in action. Get my computer. There we go. So AI is, we always joke in our office that it's artificial intelligence, but it's not always terribly intelligent. So there's a lot of different options, and the number of organizations who are creating AIs and using it more and more in depth are increasing by the day. The one I use most often after having experimented with a lot of them is ChatGPT, but there's all sorts of different options. So you can find one that fits your need and that's comfortable for you to work with. They all work a little bit differently. So I say experiment with all of them, play with them, see what you like and what you don't like. So what is AI? We all hear the term, it's all over the news, it's on the media, people are talking about it, but what is it really? If you think of the parrot, or I was just laughing, we have a crow in our neighborhood that somebody has taught to say hello. So this crow no longer caws, he flies around saying hello, hello. And the first time I heard it, it scared the daylights out of me. But AI is like a very clever parrot. It's good at reciting things that it's learned on the internet. So it reads and scans the tools, and it's very complicated, but they scan things that are on the internet, both factual and made up, fact, fiction, history. They read everything. So it's really good at telling you things, but it doesn't necessarily know if it's fact or fiction. So that's up to you, the human being, to identify. AI is something that a lot of businesses are wanting to use because it sounds hip and trendy and cool. It's kind of like when when people started first getting cell phones back in the day, or laptop computers or tablets, it was really cool and everybody thought, oh, I want to be able to say I'm using it. So AI is a good catchphrase. It doesn't necessarily mean, any one specific thing. So it's a good thing to be able to use in moderation, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So what is it good for in your specific business? What I tell you is I would never use AI to generate a final document, final content, final anything. I use it as a source for ideas, to help me brainstorm, to put together an outline, maybe for an example. Um, it is excellent if you have a final document, you can feed it to AI and ask your AI to proofread it for spelling errors, grammatical errors. Don't ask it to proofread it and tell you if it's good, because AI all of a sudden in the last probably 6 months has started saying, this is an excellent paper. Congratulations on your work, whether it's good or not. So it's really good at things like proofreading, but I wouldn't ask it to check the factual accuracy of something necessarily. It's also great. A couple of people were commenting on their kids. It's great at helping with kids' homework. I know when my son was a senior in high school, he would come home with math that I didn't have a clue. And I would say, well, ask ChatGPT how to do that math problem. He wouldn't use that as the final answer, but it can provide you some information on how to do things. So it's really good for getting you started on a project, but not necessarily doing the whole thing for you. Conversely, what's it not good for? Writing product descriptions. Please do not ask AI to write your product description and then just use it as written. We actually had a client who did exactly that on his website. He asked it to write product descriptions of food products. It was making up nutrition information that wasn't at all accurate, and he was assuming it was correct, sticking it on his website and moving forward. It was making up what his products were good paired with, which were not necessarily true at all. So I would not use it for product descriptions. You can ask it for ideas for a product description, but don't use it as it presents it. It's not really good at writing a proposal for a client because it doesn't necessarily understand the full picture of what you are and what you offer and what your client is and what they need. So again, it can give you some ideas, but I wouldn't use it for any of these things in final form. So basically what I say, it's not good for replacing humans. It's good for supplementing humans and helping humans get where they want to go, but it's absolutely not going to replace all of us anytime in the near future. I frequently, and I'm sure my other marketing colleagues on this call frequently have people say, well, are you worried that AI is going to completely put you out of business? No. Computers didn't put people out of business. They change things, and AI will very likely continue to change things for us, but I don't believe is going to put any of us out of business completely. So let's dive in, and I just want to go through some prompts so you can see how it actually works. These were prompts I gave to ChatGPT. And the interesting thing is, if I were to go back and give Chat these exact same prompts 5 times in a row on 5 different days, it would give me 5 different answers. So I put these together late last week. So I asked it to write write a very brief, sorry, I have to move everybody from my cameras so I can't see your faces anymore. Write a very brief welcome to be given by the owner of a digital marketing agency. So this is what it came up with. Those of you who know me know that this doesn't really sound like how I would introduce myself. And if I'm giving a speech, I'm absolutely not going to use emojis in my speech. Chat GPT is very fond of emojis. It will use emojis you've probably never seen in your entire life. And it's also very fond these days of this M dash, which is this double dash that you see here, and it's in the last line of the first paragraph. So if you're using or if you're online, you're seeing social media posts, you're seeing things people have written. Very frequently, if there's a large number of emojis or this M dash, you can tell they've used ChatGPT to write it. So that's just an example. So once we've gotten that, that's a beginning. So then we can fine tune it a little bit and we can say, okay, include that my name is Mindy Hanson and I own Wild Iris Marketing, and make the tone very serious and commanding. You could tell this to make it, as an example for another group, I had it write it in the tone of a 1980s Valley Girl, and it did that for me. So you can really make it have any tone or any sense that you want. It can be a lot of fun to play with. So you can tell that it changed it a little bit. It added that who my name was. It added my company name. Oops, sorry, I hit advance sooner than I intended to. And it made it a little bit stronger. It gave a final call, a final summary. I want you to walk out of here with clarity, confidence, and practical steps you can start using immediately. Let's get started. Still using emojis because I haven't told it not to, but it's refined the response a little bit. So let's take it another step and say, now include a quote with a citation, and that's important. I'll come to that in a minute, from an industry expert to build credibility. So it still has the same beginning, still has the same middle. It has added a quote from someone at the CEO at Microsoft. AI is going to change the way we work, the way we communicate, and the way we grow and think about growth, or the way we think about growth. This shift is already happening, and those who embrace it now will be ones who lead. So the interesting thing about this is when you ask chat or AI for information, even if you ask it to cite the source, it's not necessarily going to be accurate. So the very first thing I do anytime I ask it to cite a source is I go in and make sure that source actually exists, and I fact check that that person actually said this. There are multiple cases, and you may have seen them in the news. There's multiple cases where most recently some lawyers filed a legal brief asking, and it included citations to other cases in their own legal brief that was filed with the federal courts. Those cases that they cited never existed. AI made them up, but these attorneys did not do their due diligence themselves. They did not fact check it. So it was submitted to the court with those cases cited in their report. Needless to say, the judge did not appreciate that, did not like it. And actually the attorneys got in some significant trouble. So I say, please act as if AI is about a 2-year-old and you're asking them what they did at school today. What they tell you is probably basically accurate, but it could use a little bit of fact checking. If they're telling you that their teacher sent them all to space on Elon Musk's rocket, you might want to talk to the teacher and find out if that actually happened at school today. So that's what I want you to take from this. I actually did not fact check this one just because I didn't feel it was critical for this presentation, but I encourage you to fact check things that it's telling you. Another example that was good is I asked it at one point, we were having a sports debate during Stanley Cup playoffs at our house. And I asked it some question about one of the teams in the 1950s, a hockey team, and it told me they had won the Stanley Cup, and actually they had not even been in the playoffs for the Stanley Cup that year. But ChatGPT was happy to tell me that they had not only been in the playoffs, but won the tournament. So it's really important to check your information. And the reason for that is because ChatGPT and all the other AI systems are learning from things people post on the internet. And as we all know, anybody can post anything at any time. So there's not necessarily any way yet for AI to understand what's factual and what's more fictitious. So let's ask it for a little bit more help. I asked it to give me 3 bullet points to make sure to include in my speech for the group of women who are just beginning to use ChatGPT in their small businesses. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking it to give me some ideas. I could sit down and spend an hour brainstorming, and come up with some ideas myself. But it's really helpful to ask chat, okay, what do you think are the 3 most important things for this presentation? And this will just give you, and again, it loves its emojis, so it's used these green check marks. This is copied straight from chat. Um, so it's a really good way to, I could say, okay, chat GPT is a time saver, not a replacement. And then I could expand on that in my presentation and tell you, that it's not necessarily factual, that it can help you with brainstorming. I could have sat down and come up with these 3 bullet points myself, but I guarantee it would have taken me more than the 15 seconds it took to type in the prompt and wait for chat GPT to come up with the ideas for me. So it's really, really good at doing things like give me some ideas for X. I would never, and I know people do, I would never suggest or encourage you to say, write my entire presentation. First of all, it's not going to sound like you and not be authentic to you and your brand. And second of all, it's not necessarily going to be 100% accurate. So I think it's great to say, okay, give me some bullet points, give me some ideas that I can use to start with. And then I take it from there and expand on it. So it's given us the 3 bullet points. And I think, okay, some of those are pretty good. We'll make sure to include some of those. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we've got this introduction, we've got the bullet points of things that are going to cover. Help me by writing 3 social media posts to promote this event that I'm going to be teaching. Again, you can see we've got a lot of emojis. I didn't give it any more information than what it has known from this conversation, starting with the, write an introduction speech for Mountain Women in Business. So it remembers the conversation that we've had so far, just this one conversation. I can, if I wanted to, go in and go build an entire brand profile. So I can tell it all about me, I can tell it my tone, and then I can go back and use that again and again so that it knows all of the history. But in this case, I wanted to start with a fresh slate. So it didn't have preconceptions about what I wanted to talk about. This is a perfect example of it making things up. Look at where this event is going to be. Oh, sorry. Look at where this event is going to be held at. It's going to be held at the Conifer Town Hall. I've lived in Conifer a long time, and last I checked, we don't have a town hall, but apparently we're going to have one by August 10th at noon. So that's a really good example. I have no idea where it got that. I have no idea why it thinks that's where it's being held. But that's a really good example that if I were to just ask it to write it, copy and paste it into my social media to promote this event, people would immediately look at that and think, either Mindy has no idea what she's talking about, she's not familiar with our community, or she's used AI to write these posts. So you can see that kind of thing is what you really need to watch out for. And also, again, the emojis, the rocket ship, the little robot guy here, those aren't me. That's not on brand for me at all. And so anybody who's looking at this, who has ever met me before, is going to realize that unless I laughed, Rebecca, when you were talking about First Lego League, because I've been a sponsor or a mentor for First Robotics. If I'm posting about a robotics event, I might use this little space alien robot guy, but for my marketing projects, probably not on brand for me. So that was its first social media post. Then in that one, it told me it was engaging and informative. So, okay. Then it created a second one that was more conversational and relatable. And again, that's up to me to determine whether that's really on brand, if it feels right for my organization and for my audience. For example, if I were to be posting this to a business group, this might resonate. But if I were posting it to, say, a group of nothing but nonprofits, I might want to change my tone a little bit. So this is a really good way of starting to get an idea for social media posts, but I would never use these exactly as they were written. And again, we're at the Conifer Town Hall, which just makes me laugh. And things like, it tells you to RSVP, but it doesn't tell me how. So if you're posting something, you probably want your potential attendees to know how to RSVP. And because Chat GPT didn't know that and I didn't tell it, it doesn't know how to tell people to RSVP. So it just makes it very generic. So, and I've flown through a lot of this, but I wanted to tell you a couple other quick things. And then I deliberately left time because I'm sure there's questions. Chat GPT or any AI is very good, as you saw, at giving you ideas for things. It can come up with, I asked it a few months ago, I said that I had chicken breast and Parmesan cheese and broccoli in my refrigerator, and I wanted some way to cook them other than what I usually do. And I asked it for recipes, and it came up with a couple great recipes, one of which is now a family favorite. It's a great way to say, and I actually did not put this in my slides. If you see a really long article online, that is possibly interesting to you, but you don't have the hour that it's going to take to read this extensive article, you can give a link to the article to Chat GPT and say, please read this and give me the top 10 bullet points. And it will do that. And then you can read those bullet points and figure out if it's worth reading the entire article and taking the time to do that. So I use it frequently for finding information. A lot of people are starting to use it as their search engine and say, find 10 websites that have good information about X and summarize what's on each website. And that's the difference between using just a Google or Chrome or something, is you can say, find these websites and summarize the information on it for me. So when it comes to doing research or trying to learn new things, it can be incredibly valuable that way also. But please don't trust what it tells you. Verify. We've also seen cases where people have asked it to write content for their website. They've copied and pasted that content directly onto their website, only to get a letter from somebody's attorney saying you have used our copywritten material and you need to cease and desist and pay us a fine. So it will take information that is copywritten and give it to you as if it is authentic and okay for you to use, and it isn't necessarily the case. So I consider it a tool. I don't consider it a tool to get me started down a path or to help me learn about information, to gather information for me. But I would, caution you very, very seriously to please verify and do your own due diligence, and don't try and use it to replace experts in the industry. Laura Bean probably laughs at this also. I love the TV ad for, I believe it's GoDaddy Web Builder, that you can tell it your colors, your business, and it will completely design a website for you. We have done a couple of those just to test it, and it creates a website. But if you were to just stick that up without proofreading it or making sure it's your voice or making sure it's accurate about your business, you can be advertising some very interesting things that you didn't necessarily intend to advertise. And if you're advertising services that you don't offer because AI wrote all of your content and you didn't verify it, people are going to call you and say, "Oh, I saw that you can." You do engine repair. Well, no, actually, I don't do engine repair. I'm an accountant, but apparently somebody somewhere, Chat GPT, thought I did engine repair. So it's worth it to use as a tool, but not as the final decision maker and final content creator. The one thing, if you're having a crummy day, ask Chat GPT to tell you a joke. It's got some really fun jokes. And I'll tell you, if I'm having a stressful day, I'll ask it for a good joke, and it very rarely disappoints. So with that said, we've got a couple minutes for questions. Does anyone have anything more that they want to know? And I'm also happy to, like I said, I'm happy to sit down somewhere. We could find a place, and I'm happy to go through an actual workshop with a group of you with your computers or tablets in front of you and help you come up with various different things that you can do for your individual businesses. Are there any questions?
Let's see if I can go through the chat and see if there's any questions listed there. I don't think I saw any. But you guys unmute yourselves and jump in here. I like the joke part. I didn't think about the joke. I know my grandkids are always asking their Alexa, I don't have one, Alexa, tell me a kids friendly joke. And then they tell the joke over and over again for days.
This is Vicky.
Yes.
I just wanted to share, I don't have a question, but I used it for a food consulting tasting I did for a food and beverage venue. And we had about 40 attendees and they all had survey sheets. And I did have to enter information, but it took all that information and I double checked everything to the surveys. It was a beautiful tool to concisely compile all the comments. And I'm just sharing that if there's a business where you do get feedback from your customers or reach out at times for a survey from them, what have you. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's a very good use for it. I did that with Evergreen Road